I left a $250,000 software engineering job to pursue entrepreneurship, and this is my journey to a $1 billion company. We are on day, I don't even know, but I can tell you that we're at a little shy of $10 million, so we only got 990 million to go. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, as always, we're gonna start with the most important part of the video, which is answering your guys' questions through a YouTube Q&A. So if you have any questions whatsoever, just leave it down in the comments below. Then I'm going to get into the topic of today's video, which is the #1 regret that ex-FAANG does have. And then I'm going to get into strategizing, primarily about this channel, which is my daily channel, as well as about my main channel, which is, of course, the main channel. Most of you are here from the main channel. If not, if you found this, welcome. Let me give you a quick little intro about who I am. So I started as this guy right here, the developer right over here in a robotics team. Okay, I was the team strategist as well as the simulation analysis sub-team leader. We actually ended up winning the Los Angeles Regional back in 2017. From then on, that catapulted me into UCLA Elegant Minds, where I researched the human consciousness. From then on, I got into NASA as a computer engineer, worked there for a little over a year. And then I joined the Fortune 500 as a software engineering consultant. I consulted for all of these companies and much more throughout the span of 3 years, where I climbed from a junior to a manager level. Then I quit to found my own firm, which is AB Analytics that you see over here. And this is the firm where we are close to 10 figures, well, I shouldn't say 10 figures, $10 million in annual recurring revenue. We're at about 8 million right now. But we'll get there by the end of the year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We have a plan for it. We're just going to need to execute on it. Now, this was not just immediately. I made it seem like the jump from here to here was immediate. It was not. There were a bunch of other failures. To learn all of that, you can go to bgo.co2ceo.com. Perfect. Let's get straight into the video by answering your guys' questions. So let me refresh this. I think we should only have 2. Yeah. So Mohammed says, you saw your randomly, keep going, brother. Thank you. And then Tim says, do you really believe everyone can be a business owner? Well, Tim, I do believe that everybody can be a business owner, but not everybody will be a business owner. Okay? I know most people think that to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, you need to have high stress tolerance, high pain tolerance, all these things, blah, 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 blah. And yes, those are definitely true. However, a business owner doesn't necessarily mean you need to be making millions of dollars a year. You can be a business owner even making 100K a year, and at least you're still owning the business. Okay, and I believe everybody is more than capable of at least running a business that makes them 50 to 100K a year, where they don't have a boss, they answer to themselves, and they actually make money either selling their services or selling their time in some shape or manner. So everybody can do this, but not everybody will. A lot of people won't do this because of imposter syndrome. They might think they're not good enough. A lot of people won't do this because they think they needed to be born an entrepreneur. A lot of people won't do this because they think it's too risky. Long story short, everybody can be a business owner, not everybody will be a business owner. Now, when I say business owner, people immediately think billion-dollar startup, Ferrari, jets, all this stuff, but that's not what a business owner is. Business owner has nothing to do with money. A business owner has to do with you owning a business. You providing a service for people and you being your own boss, you serving other individuals. In fact, I think everybody should strive to be a business owner because that is the best way that you can help the world and make the world a better place by serving other people. It's just recently, in recent times, it's gotten so construed that entrepreneurship and business owner is now synonymous with basically some douche flexing on everybody because they're rich, right? That's not what a business owner is. A business owner, in my opinion, is actually one of the most respectable, I'm not going to call it a job because it's not, it's one of the most respectable things you can do in life. And it definitely is the path of, I should say, a hero in a sense, because at its core, it is not comfortable, it is not predictable, but everybody can do it. Everybody has it in them to do it. Not everybody will, though. Now, when I say everybody, I don't literally mean everybody, obviously. Like, there's just people who might be impaired and all these other things, but you understand what I'm saying. Essentially, if you're making, let's say, 30 to 100K in a 9 to 5, you can easily do 50 to 100K in a business. All you have to do is just, go through the BS, and have the pain tolerance for just a little small bit, which everybody actually does. Let me put it this way. It's easier to have a business that makes you 50 to 100K a year than I would say it is to be a parent, like than it is to having a kid and raising that kid. Way easier, okay? So that's the answer to your question. I don't know if you were expecting me to say, oh no, but yeah, I believe so. So let's get straight into the topic of today's video, which is the number one regret that ex-FAANG devs have. So on one of my recent newsletter emails that I sent out, I got a few emails back. Actually, I got about like 4 emails saying it really kind of touched them in sense of they felt like it was at a perfect time that they received the email. And I was a little surprised because the email was pretty unconventional. I don't know if you guys in the newsletter, it was the one. So if you're watching this on the 4th, it was the one that got sent out on the 3rd. And I thought it wouldn't honestly get nearly that many replies as it did. But what one person said was that he's currently working at a big healthcare company in the United States. And he used to be working at FAANG, specifically Facebook. He got laid off from Facebook and now he's working at a healthcare company. And he said that his biggest regret was not trying entrepreneurship sooner. So, not trying sooner. And when I said, I mean, it's not like your life's over, why don't you just give it a try? He said, well, now I have a family, I have kids. He said he had 3 kids, family, and he's the sole, essentially, breadwinner for the family. He can't really afford to take very big risks. And despite being a FAANG employee, he was not too good with his finances, so he does not have a lot saved up for a rainy day. He said the family lived lavishly, they took vacations, they, spent it to actually enjoy life, and as a result, they've pretty much been living on a short enough time horizon, about like 3 to 4 months of overhead, so to say, that they're covered. But most of the money they make, they just spend it to enjoy life. They didn't have a lot of savings. And he said, for somebody like me, who is, an ex-FAANG employee, who is a good software engineer, who's just been a little irresponsible with his money on actually trying to enjoy life, I cannot afford to take that risk anymore because I have a family and I realized that I made a mistake, that I didn't save enough, blah, 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 blah. And now if I try to take that risk, I feel like it's just not going to work out. And if I try to do it alongside my 9 to 5, I feel like I'm not going to be able to put in the effort that's required of me. So this video is specifically for that individual, but I think all of you watching will be able to take something away, especially if you're a mid to senior level software engineer, currently in a 9 to 5. You will be able to take a lot away from this video. So let's get straight into it. Now, the regret of not starting sooner, right? Not starting sooner. This is an interesting one because at whatever age you are, people tell you, right? Oh, buddy, you're behind. So even if you're in your late teens, now you see people that are like 15 years old that are becoming millionaires, right? And it can affect your psyche. If you're in your 20s, people say, okay, you're young, but not really, you need to get your shit together. If you're in your 30s, they say, okay, you're about to miss the boat, like you really got to get your shit together. If you're in your 40s, they say, okay, it's late, but maybe you can still do it. If you're in your 50s, basically the same thing every decade, they say, okay? But fundamentally speaking, the not starting sooner does not make sense because people believe that the result or the outcome that you're supposed to get is time-based. Now, to a certain degree, it is time-based. But if I were to put it on a spectrum, right, if this is 100 and this is 0, and I asked people on this essentially scale, where would you put result/outcome? Like how time-based are they? Like let's say you have to make $1 million. How time-based is you making $1 million? They would probably say, oh, like if I had more time, obviously I would be able to make it. So they would put it probably somewhere in this quadrant. But I'm here to tell you that in fact, any result, any outcome in life, outside of a few very small things, such as like physiological and biological changes, most will fall in this quadrant. Let me explain. People mistake results and outcomes with time because it takes time to fill what's called a knowledge gap. So it's not necessarily that you can't get the result, you can't get the outcome instantaneously. It's because you don't have the knowledge to get it instantaneously. If I took away all of the wealth of, let's say, Bezos, Elon Musk, and whatever, you think it's going to take them the same amount of time to get that back? No, they will probably be able to, they would instantly be able to become millionaires within probably a week, even less than that. To get to their billionaire status, it will maybe take them a few months, but they'll still be able to get there. So of course, it's still based on time, but not nearly as much as people think it is, okay? Most of it is based on knowledge. So when people say, it's too late for me to start, or I'm too old, or I don't have enough time, right? It's not the time thing, it's a knowledge thing. You have to use whatever time you have, obviously, to fill in that knowledge gap. And that's where the real secret actually lies. Because what ends up happening is you have, let's say, 3 different types of people, right? And what we're gonna do is, and these are, by the way, real life individuals that I'm gonna use as examples. So this is a 17-year-old person. This one's gonna be a 33-year-old person. And this one's going to be a 61-year-old person. All of these individuals decide to embark on a journey to become an entrepreneur and make a lot of money and have success and have everything they want in their lives. The 17-year-old is thinking, I'm chilling, I got a lot of time. I'm just gonna focus up, do whatever comes along the way, right? If I fail, I'm gonna learn. So they're doing the fail, learn strategy, fail, learn strategy, fail, learn strategy. They say, hell, if I start at 17, by the time I'm maybe 22, 23, I'll, be a millionaire. So they're playing on a 5 to 6 year time horizon. The 33-year-old is like, okay, I'm married. I just had my kid. I need to ideally be able to afford a house in like 2 or 3 years. So I want to make, let's say, $1 million liquid within the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to be a little bit more strategic with my decision making. And I'm really going to choose like one specific thing to go all in into. And that's where I'm going to lead to victory, right? I'm just going to put a W there. The 61-year-old is saying, well, I lived my life to a certain extent. I have my kids, I have grandkids, but I don't really have anything to show for it. I don't have any will that I'm leaving behind. I want to at least create something and leave this world, at least something to my kids and their grandkids that they can say, oh, look, grandpa left us something, right? So the goal is, I worked my entire life. I know a little bit. If I could try and make like at least $10 million within the next 9 years, by the time I'm 70, I'll be happy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize all my network, everything that all my experiences, my 61 years on this planet, to build something and then try to scale it to a unicorn, right, and then exit it. All 3 individuals have different goals with different time horizons. One is aiming for about, let's say, a 5 to 6 year time horizon. The other is doing about a 2 to 3 year, right? The other one is doing about a 9 to 10 year. But they're all in different age brackets. The 17-year-old is going to approach this as, he's going to have more energy than these guys, obviously. He's going to have more time, but he's going to have less wisdom. So he's going to have a lot more to learn. So his knowledge gap, right, and we're going to have like a bar to fill out here. If this is the entire knowledge, right, he's only going to have this much, let's say. So this entire thing is going to be the gap for him. He's going to have to fill that up. And let's assume for him to make, I'm going to say an arbitrary number, 5 million, his knowledge needs to be at this level, right? This is the 5 million mark. 5 million mark. Now the 33-year-old who's a little older, has a little bit more experience, right? Let's say his knowledge is already here and he needs to get to here to make his 1 million, right? And then the 61-year-old, his knowledge is already here. Let's say he needs to get to here to get to his 10 million. All of these individuals have this much space to fill out, right? There we go. Now, if you ask anybody, they say, and if you had to say bet on somebody to be able to do it, they're probably going to bet on a 17-year-old to get to this $5 million. Now, they might say, okay, he might not get it by 22, 23, but definitely if he becomes like, by the time he's 61, he'll 100% have made this because he started way earlier than them. And you might disagree, you might agree on this. But what I've seen in real life from observing all these individuals and actually myself being kind of like the fourth person over here, is it all really depends on how people treat this gap. You have people that can spend years, let's say like this 17-year-old guy, he can spend 6 years trying to fill this to make his 5 million, right? Versus this 33-year-old looking to make 1 million, all he has to do is find a mentor that can fill in that knowledge gap for him, and he can get to this 1 million. He had a 2 to 3 year plan. He can get there within a few months, right? 3 to 6 months. You might say, this is not feasible. What are you saying? Like, how is this possible? I've seen it happen in real time. One of my students, even Marco, if you guys know him, pretty much within 20 days, he changed his entire life trajectory. And you'll see a testimonial coming up, but he's younger. He's in his like late 20s, mid 20s, I should say. But he's in a position where all he needed was this he needed this knowledge gap for that multi-million-dollar dream, and he got it, right? And all it really required of him was to find me, and then me to coach him over a few days. Essentially, it literally took that 20 days, and he was missing just that one little thing. Same thing with the 61-year-old guy. He's aiming for a bigger thing, $10 million. He has this knowledge gap to fill out. He can either try to do it himself, fail, and take, I don't know, however long, right? Or he can instantly pay somebody and get that information. Now you might say, I don't have the money to pay somebody. Not a problem. You can offer something else to somebody to get this knowledge gap filled up. Whatever the case, there's always a faster way, a better method, a more efficient method to fill up this knowledge gap that you have, okay? So this is what I mean, it is not time dependent. So when people say, oh, I wish I started sooner, it does not make sense to me, because you can always start. Time isn't the issue, right? Time is never the issue, it's the knowledge that is the issue. And I would even say, if let's say you're older, you might think you don't have enough time, guess what? You have more knowledge, right? As a direct byproduct of it. Generally speaking, the older you are, the wiser you are. That's not to say younger individuals can't be smarter or wiser than you. They definitely can, but in terms of if I had to take my bets, if I had to take my pick on who would have more knowledge, I'm gonna bet on the older guy because he's lived longer, right? He has more knowledge. He's seen life more, he's experienced more. The average older guy will have more knowledge than the average younger guy. So that's the trade-off there. The younger guy has more time to essentially learn about this knowledge gap, but guess what? The older guy has a higher baseline. He's starting off in a better position. So generally speaking, it balances each other out. That's why you should never think of, oh, it's too late to start, or I missed it, or I missed the boat, or no, I don't want to do it now, maybe next year or whatever. It does not make sense. Just start now. It literally, all you have to do, once you understand, the only thing, let's say, standing between the you now and the you that you want to be, right? And I don't know if you guys can hear those screams, but it's kids outside, so I apologize for that. But if you want to be here, the only thing that's standing really in between you, right, is going to be the knowledge gap. If you can fill that out in the fastest way possible and kind of pay that tax, so to say, then you can get here in record-breaking time. This is why you have individuals who can go from literally nothing to billions of dollars. This is why you can have billionaires in their 20s. This is why you can have billionaires in their late teens, right? Self-made, some of them. It's because of this knowledge gap. If they can find the fastest and most efficient way to fill in this knowledge gap, right? Ideally, most of the time through a mentor, then they don't need to spend that amount of time. Because generally speaking, humans are adaptable. Humans are fast learners. You put anything in front of them with a proper guidance or mentor, they can learn it within a few months. There's only very few topics and very few things in life that will take actually years to master. But business is not one of them, in my opinion. Or at least success at this level is not one of them. So hopefully that made sense to you guys, and hopefully it was helpful. So let's move on to strategizing. For the daily channel, we've gotten, let me check, 318 views in the last 48 hours. So our views definitely dropped a little, and that is because of the thumbnails and the titles. So first and foremost, let me just tell you what not to do. The titles are, I'm gonna be honest, somewhat bad, right? The thumbnails also are not too great. Now, how do we know the titles and the thumbnails are not too good? Well, we can take a look at our actual, oh, that kid is really screaming, huh? We can take a look at our click-through rates. Everything is sub 5%. Generally speaking, you want it to at least be 5%, if not higher. On the main channel, for example, we sit at an average of 7 to 10% range. But on this one, of course, it's much lower. So moving forward, the titles and the thumbnails are going to get much better. But this is just an example of, let's say, if you're gonna do this on your own later, what not to do, so to say. You really wanna focus on your titles and the thumbnails. So moving forward, we're gonna need to, right now we're actually brainstorming a commonplace thumbnail to use for this daily channel. Do we want to keep it more raw? Do we want to keep it a little bit more edited type of a thumbnail? But we want to have one type of thumbnail where everybody sees it and knows, okay, this is the daily channel that I can click on. They're not going to mix it up with the main channel. Outside of that, you guys will see a very big video dropping on the main channel very soon. And I believe that is it for the updates. Tomorrow we'll dive into the cold email campaigns, and also we'll dive deeper into a strategy session that we have because of a few videos coming up. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.